Is it Orange Man bad or Orange Man right? How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Donald Trump warning NATO-aligned countries about a potential Russia threat years ago. Now, I'm not quite sure what year this was, but I know it was during Donald Trump's presidency, and his whole point was this. How do you guys in Europe want NATO to protect you from Russia when you're dependent upon Russia? This makes no sense. Now, if you don't know what NATO is, that's a North Atlantic Treaty Organization. There's 28 countries in it, only 2 of which are not in Europe. The rest, all in Europe. And the whole point is to protect Europe from Russia. Now, they were in Libya killing Gaddafi. I don't know why they were there, so don't ask me, and I digress. The whole point is that their whole thing is to prevent any kind of threat, any kind of damage against Europe from Russia. But how are you going to do that when 35% of Europe's natural gas comes from Russia? Now, before I get too deep into it, let's roll the clip. In this clip, you're going to see and hear Donald Trump's point. After we get done with that, I'll come back. I'll talk about what he said there. Then I'll give you the rest of my 2 cents and my deep detail analysis. And then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries, and then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia, and I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas. Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas. So you tell me, is that appropriate? I mean, I've been complaining about this from the time I got in. It should have never been allowed to have happened. But Germany is totally controlled by Russia because they were getting from 60 to 70% of their energy from Russia and a new pipeline. And you tell me if that's appropriate, because I think it's not. And I think it's a very bad thing for NATO, and I don't think it should have happened. And I think we have to talk to Germany about it. On top of that, Germany is just paying a little bit over 1%, whereas the United States, in actual numbers, is paying 4.2% of a much larger GDP. So I think that's inappropriate also. You know, we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting everybody, and yet we're paying a lot of money to protect. Now, this has been going on for decades. This has been brought up by other presidents, but other presidents never did anything about it because I don't think they understood it, or they just didn't want to get involved. But I have to bring it up because I think it's very unfair to our country, it's very unfair to our taxpayer. And I think that these countries have to step it up, not over a 10-year period, they have to step it up immediately. Germany is a rich country. They talk about they're going to increase it a tiny bit by 2030. Well, they could increase it immediately tomorrow and have no problem. I don't think it's fair to the United States. So we're going to have to do something because we're not going to put up with it. We can't put up with it. And
all right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, what he said right there was right on point, and I feel like that's common sense, right? If NATO is supposed to like actually attack Russia, like let's say, for example, Russia decided to invade Poland, and Poland is in NATO. Well, in theory, all the NATO-aligned countries would fight Russia. If there was a ground war like in Warsaw, you would have NATO troops from all over NATO, maybe the US, Germany, Poland, everywhere. We'd be right there fighting Russia. But the problem is much of Europe is dependent upon Russia for their energy needs. So how are we going to fight them while at the same time we need them? Okay, we need them here in the States because for some reason, Greta Thunberg, Al Gore, all these ridiculous environmentalists, we are starting to like reduce our energy production domestically. So rather than producing things here, which we need, like Keystone XL pipeline, Joe Biden, rather than doing things like that, we're going to go to Russia and import energy from them. How does it make any sense? It doesn't make any sense, especially when they're seen as an aggressor by some people. Not by all, of course, but by some, they're seen as an aggressor. But we can't aggress against them if they aggress against us when we're relying upon them for our energy. Okay? Same thing with the whole thing of sanctions, right? They say, well, we need to have tougher sanctions. We need to take them out of SWIFT. And SWIFT is this banking transaction system. And without access to SWIFT, they can't sell oil to the world. But the problem is the world needs that oil. They need that gas. We got to have it. We can't sanction them because it's going to hurt us. Europe definitely can't do it. I mean, if you think the gas prices here at $3, $4, $5 a gallon or high, well, try living in Europe where you're paying sometimes double that amount. I'm talking about double, $5, $10 a gallon. You know, they break it down by liters, so it's not as bad. At least when you see the number, it's not as bad like it would be per gallon. But ultimately, you're still paying the same kind of money. Can you even drive a pickup truck in Europe right now? Can you drive anything but an electric car? I don't really know, but I digress. The point is that you can't be dependent upon them for energy while at the same time trying to aggress against it. Talking about, oh, we're going to impose sanctions. Sanctions on what? They paused the Nord Stream 2, which is right beside the Nord Stream 1 that's still operational, right? They paused Nord Stream 2, but that'll be for a little while. Once the whole Ukraine thing blows over, they're going to resume that because Germany needs that. The whole of Europe needs that gas from Nord Stream 2, okay? Because if they don't get it, where are they going to get it from? Iran? The U.S.? If they get it from Iran, which probably will happen, then we're going to go right back to the Iran nuclear deal and restart that. Hey, man, if we can't build nukes here in Iran, you can't get our gas. So you're going to suffer financially by not allowing us to be a sovereign country and build our nuclear weapons. So then if Iran hits Israel, now we got a serious problem. Now we see, like, there's always there's precursors. Like, this ain't people sometimes see things just as one decision that does not affect other decisions, but it's all connected. It's a chess game. It started with Afghanistan, in my opinion. Afghanistan was a terrible move. Well, it didn't start there, but in recent years, you can look at it this way. To simplify it, Afghanistan was terrible. We couldn't even hold the Kabul airport in Afghanistan. So when people are watching this all over the world, when Russia sees this, China sees this, when they see that, they're like, you know what, they're not ready. They're not prepared. We could do pretty much whatever we want, and they're not going to stop it. So then Putin takes Ukraine. What you going to do about it? Nothing. You're going to sanction me? Okay, this little weak sanctions ain't going to do nothing. I'm going to still be able to get money. I'm going to hold it out. You're not taking my oil and gas, which is my primary source of income. So these little ticky-tack sanctions mean nothing to me, right? I'll put this oil and gas money under my bed and still be able to maintain the country and keep everything rocking and rolling. So what? China is looking at it too. They're like, okay, they took Ukraine and nobody did anything. The Americans couldn't keep the Kabul airport in some little small podunk country, right? So that means they're weak. They're not prepared. I'm seeing their television and they have these commercials for military trying to promote transgenders. They're not really ready. So we're going to take Taiwan. They won't do a thing, right? There's military air bases right by Ukraine that the U.S. troops are in, right in Poland. We're not going to go 2 miles over the border into Ukraine because we're not trying to fight Russia. So if we don't want to do that for Russia, we certainly don't want to fight China, who are the superior military in the world right now. I like to say that the U.S. is the best military in the world. We're the best country in the world. We're talking about military. Remember they did the hypersonic missile test and the whole world was shocked? Like, what's that? See, if you're saying stuff like that, then you're already kind of behind, right? If we don't have that technology or it's kind of like foreign to us, we're at a severe disadvantage. Point blank, period. We're not prepared to deal with what they got going on. And a lot of the moves that have been made over the past year, it all leads into it. Trump was right yet again. People got to have buyer's remorse really bad right now. If they voted for Joe Biden, I don't understand how anybody could say that was a good selection over Trump. I mean, what they have on Trump? Mean tweets. He hurts my feelings, but we didn't have any conflicts. We didn't have any wars. No new wars, no nothing. Now, under 1 year, 1 year of this guy, what we got? We got the Afghanistan situation. That was a disaster. Ukraine about to fall. Taiwan about to fall. Gas prices through the roof. Inflation, real estate crisis. All this stuff is going on in 1 year. Can you blame Trump for it? It didn't happen under him. So why was it peaceful for 4 years? Then all of a sudden it wasn't. I mean, let's just put two and two together. The actions of this administration have led us right here today. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what Donald Trump said? Is he a sage? Was he right on point? Did he hit a nail on the head? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think that was perfectly said by Trump. I mean, you can't just do things like that make no sense and expect to have a positive result afterward. It doesn't make sense at all. You got to do things right. You got to do things properly. You can't try to aggress against Russia while at the same time saying, hey, I want to fight Russia. That doesn't add up. Either you're going to fight them, either you're going to be aggressive, or you're not. And if you're going to fight them and be aggressive, you can't at the same time be like, hey, man, can I get some of that gas? Can I get some of that oil? Can I get? That's not how it works. You need to be independent, doing things on your own, or have allyships with other nations rather than your adversary. Because if they're your adversary and you relying upon them, they have all the leverage, and you don't. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.